Greetings everyone and welcome to Spacing Out. I'm Jason McClellan. Maureen is working on a project, but filling in today is my friend Marlee. Welcome to the show, Marlee.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Well, we're excited to have you. Well, Marlee is a film student and an aspiring UFO filmmaker. And Marlee, I've got to ask you, you were recently at the International UFO Congress and you got a chance to meet one of your, I guess, inspirations, UFO filmmaker James Fox. How was that?
I did. It was fantastic. Words of wisdom were shared and I'm very inspired. So yeah, I'd like to thank him for that. That's awesome.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Well, we're excited to have you here. Well, let's jump into the news and get you caught up on some of the stories that have made headlines recently.
The Canadian UFO television series Alien Mysteries is coming to the United States.
Alien Mysteries just debuted on Discovery Canada on March 3rd, but according to C21 Media, the cable network Destination America, a Discovery-owned network, is bringing the show to a U.S. audience.
Describing the show, Discovery Canada's website explains that Alien Mysteries is a fantastically creative and imaginative new take on some of the most enduring UFO mysteries from the last 50 years. Each story is backed up by credible witnesses, investigative reports, and tangible evidence such as physical markings, photographs, and radar reports, and videos.
Alien Mysteries premieres on Destination America in April, and in the near future, the show will reportedly appear on various international channels also owned by Discovery.
Recent findings from NASA's Curiosity rover led to the announcement that Mars was once habitable, but some scientists believe present-day Mars is still habitable.
The NASA Astrobiology Institute and the UK Center for Astrobiology co-hosted a conference titled The Present-Day Habitability of Mars that took place on February 4th and 5th at the University of California, Los Angeles. At the conference, Alfred McEwen of the University of Arizona and principal investigator for the HiRISE camera aboard NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter stated, "We certainly can't rule out the possibility that it's habitable today."
Space.com reports that McEwen discussed observations by HiRISE that suggest briny water may flow down steep slopes on Mars during the planet's spring and summer. This water is of interest to astrobiologists because it may be a habitable environment for microbes.
Space.com points out that in places like Antarctica and Chile's Atacama Desert, microbes can eke out a living in extremely cold and dry environments. Scientists continue to study extremophiles, organisms that survive in extreme environments, and Mars-like places here on Earth to better understand the type of environments in which life as we know it can survive.
In the search for life as we know it, potential energy sources are of interest to astrobiologists because, well, life as we know it requires an energy source. Several presenters at the conference discussed a potential energy source found on Mars, perchlorate, a chlorine-containing chemical detected on Mars by NASA's Phoenix lander in 2008.
According to Space.com, Carol Stroker of NASA's Ames Research Center noted that the chemical could potentially sustain microbes in the dark Martian subsurface, where photosynthesis is not an option. An example of microbes thriving without sunlight was recently discovered here on Earth in the deepest areas of the ocean. Reuters recently reported that a Danish-led team of scientists discovered that microbes are thriving in surprising numbers at the deepest spot in the oceans, the 11,000-meter Mariana Trench in the Pacific, despite crushing pressures in sunless waters.
Space.com points out that at the conference, scientists stressed that Martian life may be able to survive even in places where water doesn't seep and flow. What is known about extremophiles on Earth presents many possibilities for life on Mars. And with so much of Mars left unexplored, including the subterranean world of Mars, the possibility of more complex life on the planet cannot be ruled out.
On the night of Friday, March 22nd, a bright meteor streaked through the skies above the east coast of the United States. Witnesses from Maine and Florida reported seeing the object, and a few videos of the incident were recorded. The sighting caused a social media buzz, and it left people to wonder yet again, why are we seeing so many of these fireballs entering the Earth's atmosphere lately?
Meteors bright enough to be seen over a very wide area are called bolides. Perhaps one of the most spectacular bolides in recent history was seen last month in Russia. Hundreds were injured by the sonic boom that massive bolide created as it flew past, causing windows to explode.
Kelly Beatty, an astronomer with the Clay Observatory, told Boston's Fox News that 100 tons of space debris hit the Earth every day, but we don't always see it. He says the bright ones, like the one seen over the East Coast on Friday, come around once every 5 years, and even then are rarely bright as Friday's event.
A representative from NASA estimated the object was approximately a yard across. Bill Cook of NASA's Meteoroid Environmental Office went on to say, "We basically have had a boulder enter the atmosphere over the Northeast."
Although astronomers continue to claim bolides are rare, they also claim that we are not seeing an abnormal amount of them. Just last week, NASA launched a fireball and bolide tracking website as part of their Near-Earth Object program.
And here's a story with a different type of fireballs. A witness contacted the Liberty County Sheriff's Department on Saturday, March 23rd, to report multiple UFOs in the sky above Dicetta, Texas.
According to KTRK ABC 13 in Houston, the witness described the UFOs as red fireballs in the sky to a Sheriff's Department dispatcher. Deputies responded and observed the UFOs themselves. They reported seeing 4 orange lights in the sky at approximately 3,000 feet in altitude, traveling slowly in a loose line spanning approximately 10 miles.
The deputies say that after observing the lights for a few seconds, 3 of the objects disappeared, and shortly thereafter, a 4th one disappeared. But after these 4 lights disappeared, 8 to 10 other fireball UFOs appeared in approximately the same location in the sky and traveled in the same direction as the previous objects. Deputies say that at least 10 to 12 other witnesses saw the UFO fireball.
The Sheriff's Office contacted both the FAA and the National Weather Bureau, but neither were able to provide any clues to help identify the strange aerial lights. But according to KSAT, the National UFO Reporting Center, or NUFORC, provided deputies with a possible explanation for the lights. NUFORC explained that similar sightings in Florida had been reported last week and could possibly be what is described as sky lanterns that are released during various celebrations. Deputies seem to doubt this explanation because they reportedly stated that sky lanterns are not usually released in large numbers. Now, although this might not usually be the case, sky lanterns, or Chinese lanterns as they're also known, are occasionally released in large numbers when launched during a celebration, just as NUFORC suggested. These paper lanterns function like mini hot air balloons, light paper lanterns that have a fuel cell that heats the air inside the balloon, and these balloons traverse the sky for a brief period of time, and when the fuel cell expires, then the light flickers out, and that makes the balloon or lantern look like it disappeared.
And the deputies were able to ascertain that the wind direction on March 23rd at about 3,000 feet would cause a balloon-type object to drift southwest. And the UFOs spotted on this day were drifting southwest.
The fireball UFOs observed over Texas do match the behavior and description of Chinese lanterns, and a couple days later, a witness came forward from a nearby town. This individual says that the lanterns were released as part of a wedding ceremony where they released about 75 Chinese lanterns. Well, now let's talk to Alejandro Rojas, who's going to tell us about an interesting UFO photo. So Alejandro, tell us about this UFO photo.
Thanks, Jason. This is a UFO mystery we just solved this morning. A listener and a friend of Open Minds UFO Radio. He produces some of the music we use on Open Minds Radio. He's part of 2 Earth Minutes. Sent us this UFO photograph. Kind of a strange picture, some strange lights in the morning. His friend's daughter actually took this picture on the way to high school near Homestead Air Force Base in Florida at about 7 a.m. on March 13th. Well, I decided to give Homestead a call, and it turns out these lights were actually produced by the Army's Golden Knights parachute group. They were doing some exercises from 3 a.m. to 9 a.m. and the press release that Homestead had sent out said that they would be using flares and other illumination devices. So this is just another example where I've been able to call a military base and talk to their public affairs group and solve a UFO mystery. So this is a case closed. Back to you, Jason.
Thanks so much for sharing that, Alejandro. And Marlee, you know what? This reminds me that just this week, you and I both separately saw a UFO here over Tempe.
This is true.
And, you know, this really bright, cigar-shaped UFO in the sky, and it looked really cool, but we were able to identify that one as well. It was obviously a blimp.
Sadly. Chased it for miles.
I'm glad you actually went on a chase. Yeah, it was kind of in my backyard, and I had a better view of it, but so it didn't frustrate me as much as it probably frustrated you.
Oh yeah, I was just torn.
On a mission. Well, you identified it, so rest easy. Well, that is all for this episode of Spacing Out. Be sure to check out openminds.tv for all the latest UFO news, and remember to subscribe to the channel on YouTube.
I'm Marlee Bonnette.
And I'm Jason McClellan, and I'll see you in the future.